I never expected to find the letter that would unravel everything I thought I knew about my family. It was just supposed to be another mundane Saturday of clearing out the attic of my parents, now my mansion. But there it was, tucked away in an old cigar box beneath decades of dust and forgotten memories. My name is Riley, and until that moment, I thought I understood my place in the Thompson family legacy. The pristine colonial mansion in Massachusetts had been my childhood home, and now, 6 months after losing both my parents in a car accident, it was my responsibility. My older brother Jared hadn't spoken to me since the reading of the will, when he learned Mom and Dad had left the house to me instead of him. "Riley, honey. Did you find those Christmas decorations?" Grace called up from below. She'd been helping me sort through things, just like she'd helped my parents with everything else for the past 30 years. "Not yet," I answered, my fingers trembling as I unfolded the yellowed paper. My father's distinctive handwriting filled the page, dated just 3 weeks before the accident. "My dearest Riley. If you're reading this, I fear the worst has happened before I could make things right. The Thompson name carries a debt that must be paid, one that could cost us everything we've built. Trust no one, not even those closest to you. The truth lies in the garden, beneath the roses your mother loved so much." The paper crinkled in my tightening grip. Dad had always been direct, practical. This cryptic warning felt wrong, almost like he'd written it under duress. "Found them." Grace's voice startled me. She stood in the attic doorway, holding a box of ancient ornaments. Her smile faded when she saw my face. "Riley? What's wrong?" I quickly folded the letter and slipped it into my pocket. "Nothing. Just getting emotional over old photos." The lie felt thick in my throat, but Dad's warning echoed in my mind, "Trust no one." Grace studied me for a moment too long before nodding. "That's natural, dear. Why don't you take a break? I made some tea." "Thanks, but I think I'll check on something in the garden first." As I headed downstairs, my phone buzzed. A text from Jared: "We need to talk about the house. I'm coming over tomorrow. Don't tell Grace." I stopped on the landing, staring at the message. After months of silence, why now? And what did he know about this debt Dad mentioned? The roses were waiting, and with them, hopefully, answers. But something told me I wouldn't like what I was about to uncover. The roses held no answers that night, just thorns that tore at my hands as I dug beneath them in the dark. By morning, all I had to show for my efforts were dirty fingernails and a growing sense of dread about Jared's impending visit. I was on my 3rd cup of coffee when his BMW pulled into the circular driveway. Same expensive suit, same confident stride, but something was different about my brother. He seemed almost pleased with himself. "Little sister," he said, stepping into the foyer like he still owned the place. "You look terrible. What do you want, Jared?" He settled into Dad's leather armchair, deliberately, I thought, and pulled out his phone. "I've been doing some digging into Dad's business dealings. Found something interesting." He slid the phone across the coffee table. On the screen was a bank statement showing a massive transfer, $5 million to an offshore account. "That's impossible," I said. "Dad would never." "Dad did a lot of things you don't know about." Jared's smile didn't reach his eyes. "But here's the good news, I've found someone willing to help us sort this mess out. A private investor." The letter in my pocket felt heavy. "Trust no one," Dad had written. "What kind of investor?" "The kind who can keep this quiet and protect what's left of the Thompson name." Jared leaned forward. "But he'll only deal with both of us. Together." A knock at the door made us both jump. Grace walked in with a tea tray, her eyes darting between us. I thought I heard voices. "Jared, what a surprise." "Just catching up with my sister," he said smoothly. "Family business." Grace set down the tray with slightly more force than necessary. "Of course. Though I remember your father always said family business should include family friends." Something flickered across Jared's face, anger. Fear. Some things are better kept private, Grace. For everyone's safety. The tension in the room was suffocating. Grace's hands trembled slightly as she poured the tea, and I noticed a faint scar on her wrist I'd never seen before. The investor's name is Noah Reed, Jared continued after Grace left. He's expecting us tomorrow at noon. Don't be late. As he stood to leave, I grabbed his arm. Why didn't you tell me about the debt sooner? He pulled away, but not before I caught a glimpse of genuine pain in his eyes. Because Dad trusted you more than me. With everything. I thought. Maybe this time I could fix things myself. After he left, I called my best friend Mia. I need you to look into someone named Noah Reed, I said. And Mia? Don't tell anyone you're asking. The roses outside caught my eye again. Whatever truth lay buried beneath them would have to wait. I had bigger thorns to deal with now. The downtown office building where we met Noah Reed looked exactly like the kind of place where family fortunes go to die. Jared led me through glass doors into a minimalist conference room, his hand hovering at my back like he was afraid I'd bolt. Maybe I should have. Noah Reed wasn't what I expected. No shark-like smile or power suit, just a man about my age in rolled-up sleeves, bent over some papers. When he looked up, something in his eyes made my stomach twist. Miss Thompson, he said, standing. I've heard so much about you. Funny, I've heard nothing about you until yesterday. Jared shot me a warning look, but Noah laughed. Direct. Like your father. He spread several documents across the table. These show the extent of your family's situation. The debt, the irregular transfers, the fabricated documents, you mean? The words jumped out before I could stop them. Noah's smile didn't waver. I understand your skepticism. But your brother and I have been working on a solution that could save everything, the house, the Thompson name, all of it. For what price? 49% ownership of all Thompson holdings, Jared cut in. It's more than fair, considering. Considering what? I turned to face my brother. Considering you've been meeting this stranger behind my back. Considering Dad trusted me with the house, not you? That's exactly why. Jared slammed his hand on the table. You have no idea what Dad was really like, Riley. You were always his golden child, while he stopped, jaw clenching. Noah cleared his throat. Perhaps we should take a moment. No, I said, pulling out my phone. Perhaps we should talk about why my friend found zero record of any Noah Reed in investment banking. Or why you're using a recently registered LLC with no trading history. The room went deadly quiet. Noah's smile finally dropped, replaced by something darker. More familiar. You really are like him, Noah said softly. Thomas Thompson never could leave well enough alone either. My blood ran cold. No one called Dad Thomas, not even Mom. The way Noah said it. Like he'd known him. Who are you really? Someone who's trying to help, Jared insisted, but his voice shook slightly. Noah gathered his papers slowly, deliberately. Your father ruined my family 20 years ago, Miss Thompson. I'm simply here to collect what's owed. Your brother understood that. Question is. He looked up at me. Do you? I turned to leave, but Jared grabbed my arm. Riley, please. I had no choice. The things Dad did. Save it. I yanked away. Whatever game you're both playing, I'll find out the truth. Starting with those roses. Noah's head snapped up. What roses? But I was already gone, my father's warning echoing in my head, trust no one. Not even those closest to you. I spent 3 hours digging in the rose garden that night until Mia finally showed up with a flashlight and some sense. She found me covered in dirt, my hands bleeding from the thorns. Riley, stop. You're going to destroy your mother's flowers. She grabbed my shovel. This isn't helping. You don't understand. I tried to take the shovel back, but she held firm. Noah Reed knows something about these roses. You should have seen his face when I mentioned them. About that. Mia pulled out her phone. I did more digging. Noah Reed didn't exist until 6 months ago, but I found this. She showed me an old newspaper article with a familiar face, younger. But unmistakably Noah. The caption read, Reed family tragedy claims 3 lives. That's impossible, I whispered. This is from 20 years ago. A twig snapped behind us. We spun around to find Grace standing there, her face pale in the flashlight beam. You shouldn't be out here, she said quietly. Some things are better left buried. What do you know about Noah Reed? I demanded. Grace's hands twisted her necklace, Mom's necklace, I realized suddenly. Your father made mistakes, Riley. Terrible ones. But everything he did to protect you and Jared. From what? Before she could answer, headlights swept across the garden. A car was pulling into the driveway, Jared's BMW. Go, Grace urged. Both of you. I'll handle your brother. I'm not leaving until. Riley. Mia grabbed my arm. Look. A second car had pulled in behind Jared's. Noah stepped out, but he wasn't alone. The man with him was older, using a cane, his face half hidden in shadow. Inside. Now. Grace's voice had changed, sharp with fear. She pressed something into my hand, a key I'd never seen before. Your father's study. The painting behind his desk, look behind it. But whatever you find. She glanced at the approaching men. Don't let them know you have it. Mia pulled me toward the house's side entrance. Through the window, I watched Grace meet Jared and Noah in the driveway. The older man hung back, but something about his stance seemed familiar. What's happening? Mia whispered as we crept upstairs. I don't know. The key felt hot in my palm. But I'm done playing their games. Whatever Dad was hiding, whatever Noah Reed really wants, it ends tonight. Riley. Mia pointed to fresh muddy footprints leading to the study. Someone's already here. From downstairs came the sound of breaking glass, followed by Grace's muffled scream. We burst into Dad's study just as a figure disappeared through the connecting door to the library. Mia moved to follow, but I grabbed her arm. The painting first. Behind Dad's desk hung his prized Monet, or what everyone thought was a Monet. My hands shook as I lifted it, revealing a wall safe I'd never known existed. The key fit perfectly. Inside was a single manila envelope, and beneath it, a gun. Riley. Mia's warning came too late. The library door creaked open, and Jared stepped through. I wondered when you'd find it. His voice was strange, hollow. Did Grace tell you about the safe, or did you figure it out yourself? Where is she? I demanded, clutching the envelope. Safe. For now. He held out his hand. The envelope, Riley. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Like you made it harder by bringing Noah Reed into this. I brought him in to protect you. Jared's composure cracked. You have no idea what Dad did to his family. What he did to all of us. Heavy footsteps echoed up the stairs. Mia positioned herself between me and the door. Whatever's in that envelope, read it now. My fingers trembled as I tore it open. Inside were photographs, Dad with Noah's father, both younger, standing in front of the rose garden. More photos followed, documents, contracts, and finally a death certificate. Noah's father's name was on it, along with 2 others. He killed them, Jared said quietly. Dad arranged the accident that killed Noah's entire family. All because Robert Reed threatened to expose his schemes. No. But even as I denied it, other memories surfaced, Dad's late-night phone calls, the sudden family vacations, Grace's worried looks. Yes. Noah appeared in the doorway, the older man with the cane beside him. In the study's light, I finally recognized him, Robert Reed, very much alive. Your father thought he killed my family. He didn't know I survived, or that my father went into hiding. The debt, I whispered, was never about money. Robert Reed's voice was like gravel. It was about justice. And now, Jared added, it's about survival. Sign over the house, Riley. Let Noah's family have what they deserve. It's the only way to end this. A crash from downstairs made us all jump. Grace's voice rang out, Riley, run. In that moment, everything crystallized. The gun in the safe. Dad's warning. The roses. The garden, I said suddenly. The real evidence is in the garden, isn't it? That's why Mom planted those roses. Noah's face darkened. Enough games. But I was already moving, shoving past him with the envelope clutched to my chest. Behind me, Mia screamed as someone grabbed her. Jared called my name. I ran anyway. The roses weren't just flowers, they were markers. I realized this as I frantically dug beneath the largest bush, rain now pelting my back. Behind me, flashlight beams swept the garden as Noah and Jared searched. Somewhere in the house, Mia was still trapped, and Grace. My shovel hit something solid. A metal box, roughly the size of a briefcase, covered in rust and dirt. The lock was corroded, but intact. Riley. Grace's voice made me jump. She stood in the rain, holding her side where blood seeped through her blouse. Your mother made me promise. If anything happened. You knew. The betrayal stung worse than the rain. All these years, you knew what Dad did. I knew he was protecting you both. She stumbled forward. The evidence in that box, it's not what you think. Robert Reed wasn't innocent. He. A gunshot cracked through the night. Grace crumpled forward, revealing Noah behind her, gun raised. 20 years, he said, his voice eerily calm. 20 years I've waited to see what's in that box. Open it. Riley, don't. Jared emerged from the darkness. You don't understand what this will do to our family. Family? I laughed, the sound bordering on hysteria. Our family is built on lies. Dad was a murderer. You betrayed me. And now Grace. Your father didn't murder anyone. Robert Reed limped into view, leaning heavily on his cane. He took the blame for something far worse. Something your mother did. The world tilted sideways. What? Open the box, Riley. Noah stepped closer, gun steady. Or I'll make sure your friend Mia joins Grace. My fingers fumbled with the lock. Inside, wrapped in plastic, was a single notebook, Mom's diary. And beneath it, photographs that made my stomach lurch, Mom and Robert Reed together, intimately. Letters describing a plan. An insurance policy with a massive payout. Your mother and I were going to leave together, Robert said softly. Take the money and disappear. But she chose your father instead. Chose you and Jared. So I arranged the accident that killed my wife and son, or so everyone thought. And Dad covered it up, Jared added. Took the blame. Protected Mom. Protected us. Noah's gun pressed against my temple. Now you know the truth. The house, the money, all of it belongs to my father. Your mother stole more than his heart, she stole his life. No. Grace's voice, barely a whisper, drew our attention. She'd pulled herself up against a rose bush, Mom's necklace clutched in her bloody hand. There's more. The necklace's pendant swung open, revealing a tiny key and a folded note. Before anyone could move, Grace pressed something in her other hand. The garden's automatic sprinklers burst to life, and in the chaos that followed, I heard Mia scream my name from the house. Whatever truth lay in that final note would have to wait. I ran. Again. The key from Grace's necklace led me to the greenhouse, where Mia was tied to a chair, blood trickling from her temple. As I untied her, she grabbed my wrist. "Grace," she whispered. "She's still alive. And Riley, she's the one who called them here. All of them." Thunder crashed outside as I helped Mia up. "What are you talking about?" "Your mother's necklace. The note inside, it's not what you think. Grace has been orchestrating everything since before your parents died." The greenhouse door slammed shut behind us. Grace stood there, pressing a hand against her wound but standing straighter than someone who'd been shot should be able to. "I wondered when you'd figure it out." Her voice was different, harder. "Your mother wasn't having an affair with Robert Reed." "I was." "The accident," I said, pieces clicking into place. "You planned it. Robert and I were going to take everything, the money, the house. But your mother discovered our plan. She threatened to expose us, so Robert arranged the accident. Only it went wrong. His wife and son died instead of your parents." Footsteps approached outside. Noah's voice carried through the rain, "They're in the greenhouse." "But why now?" I demanded. "Why bring Noah here?" Grace smiled sadly. "Because your father left everything to you instead of Jared. The same mistake he always made, trusting the wrong child." The greenhouse door burst open. Noah entered first, gun raised, followed by Robert and Jared. "Tell her the rest," Jared said, his voice shaking. "Tell her what really happened to our parents." Grace's smile widened. "The car accident 6 months ago wasn't an accident. Your father discovered I was still working with Robert. He had to be stopped. Your mother. She was just collateral damage." Something snapped inside me. I lunged at Grace, but Noah caught me, spinning me around to face him. "I'm not Robert's son," he said quietly. "I'm his and Grace's. The real Noah Reed died in that accident 20 years ago. I've been waiting my whole life to take back what should have been mine." "Enough." Jared stepped between us, pulling out Dad's gun from the safe. "This ends now." But he wasn't pointing it at Grace or Noah. He was aiming at me. "I'm sorry, Riley," he whispered. "But Dad was right about one thing, you were always the better child." The gunshot echoed through the greenhouse. But it wasn't Jared who fired. Grace crumpled, Mom's diary falling from her other hand. Behind her stood Mia, holding the gun she'd taken from my pocket during the chaos. "Check the diary," she gasped. "The real truth. It's not what any of them think." The final piece of our family's legacy lay open on the floor, its pages spattered with Grace's blood. Mom's diary changed everything. Her final entry, dated the day before the accident, laid bare a truth none of us saw coming. She'd discovered Grace and Robert's original plan, yes, but she'd also uncovered something worse. Grace wasn't just Robert's lover, she was the architect of a decades-long scheme to steal the Thompson fortune, using her own son, Noah, as the final piece. The police arrived within hours. As they led Grace and Robert away, Noah stood in the rain, looking lost. Not the calculating manipulator anymore, just a man who'd been used by his own mother. "I never knew," he said quietly. "All these years, I thought I was avenging my family. Instead, I was just another pawn in her game." Jared approached me, Dad's gun hanging loose in his hand. "Riley, Don't." I took the gun, feeling its weight. "You were trying to protect me, in your own twisted way. Just like Dad protected Mom. Just like Mom protected us both. By keeping secrets. By giving us a chance to be better than they were." The sun was rising as Mia helped me pack up Grace's things from the guest room. Under a loose floorboard, we found one final letter, from Mom to me, dated years ago. My dearest Riley, I read aloud, if you're reading this, then the truth about Grace has finally come to light. Your father and I knew she would eventually try to take everything from us. But we also knew that you, both you and Jared, would be strong enough to face it together. The house isn't just a building, it's a test. Of loyalty, of love, of the people we choose to become when everything we believe is questioned. 3 months later, I stood in the rose garden, watching as workers carefully transplanted Mom's beloved flowers. The greenhouse was being converted into a community center, my way of turning a place of secrets into something transparent, healing. Jared visits sometimes, working through his guilt by helping restore the house. Noah disappeared after the arrests, but last week a package arrived, the original deed to the property. Signed over to the Thompson family legally and completely. The debt Dad wrote about in his letter. It wasn't financial. It was the debt we owe to truth, to family, to doing better than those who came before us. As I watch the roses find their new homes, I understand finally what Mom meant. The real legacy isn't in the walls or the wealth, it's in the choices we make when everything we love is at stake. Mia touches my shoulder, pointing to a single white rose blooming out of season. Look, she says. Some beautiful things can grow even after the storm. She's right. But I keep the key to the safe, just in case. Some legacies are worth protecting, after all.